Welcome to Where Old Gods Sleep. Find a comfortable position, take a slow, deep breath, and let the day gently fall away as we begin. The lamp is low, and the old stories ask for no loud beginning. They come best with the room made quiet, with the dark standing kindly at the walls, and with one feeling said gently in the center, longing. Not the sharp longing of wanting to possess, but the older one, the ache that looks across a distance and keeps looking. Long after temples went roofless, long after bronze bells lost their tongues, the gods and star maidens remained in that distance, waiting to be remembered. Among the old Chinese villages of the Han people, where millet fields bent under night dew and the yellow river moved like a pale sleeping animal, there lived a cowherd named Nyolang. His world was plain earth. Ox breath steamed in winter. Straw sandals wore thin. A cracked bowl, a field path, the creak of a wooden gate, these were the things that knew his hands. Far above him, in the court of heaven, Jinyu, the weaver girl, moved at her loom beside the silver river. She was the daughter of the heavenly order, and her work clothed the sky in clouds of rose, violet, and rain gray. Each dawn and dusk passed through her fingers. She wove the soft veils that drifted over the moon. Yet even a heaven of perfect patterns may become a lonely room when no footstep answers another. One evening, when the fields were cooling and the ox had lowered its wise head, Nyolang came near a hidden pool where reeds leaned together as if keeping a secret. There Jinyu and her heavenly sisters had descended to bathe, leaving their feathered robes on the bank. The old ox, who had once belonged to the stars and knew more than beasts usually tell, guided Nyolang toward his fate. Nyolang and Jinyu saw one another between the reeds, and the world did not break open. It only grew still. She remained on earth. The heavenly robe was set aside. In a small house with smoke-dark rafters, Jinyu learned the roughness of woven hemp, the smell of boiled rice, the weight of a child asleep against her shoulder. Nyolang learned that a star maiden could laugh at a crooked fence, could mend a torn sleeve, could love the low music of insects in the field. Their days were not grand. That was the wonder of them. The immortal and the mortal did not make a throne, they made a household. But heaven has its laws, and the sky does not easily forget a missing daughter. The Queen Mother of the West looked down from the bright cold courts and saw the loom standing silent. She came with attendants like white mist and took Jinyu back across the height of the world. Nyolang, carrying their two children in baskets across a shoulder pole, followed as far as any mortal love could follow. The old ox, near death, gave him its hide, and with it he rose into the sky, past wind, past cloud, past the last breath of earth. Just as he neared Jinyu, the Queen Mother drew her hairpin through the heavens. A river opened where the pin had cut. Stars poured into it. The silver river widened between husband and wife, between children and mother, between field dust and palace light. On one shore stood Nyolang. On the other stood Jinyu. They could see one another, but no hand could cross. Only once each year, on the seventh night of the seventh moon, the magpies of the world felt pity. They rose from orchards, graveyards, temple roofs, and black pine branches. Wing by wing, they made a bridge over the starry water. Nyolang crossed with the children. Jinyu came from her loom. For one night, the river was not a wound but a road. May the silver river settle above you like a quiet road, carrying love gently toward sleep. Far below that river of stars, another threshold waited under Mesopotamian dust. In the land between the Tigris and the Euphrates, where clay tablets dried in courtyards and reed boats pressed softly against muddy banks, the people of Sumer and Akkad told of gods whose houses stood in every direction. Some gods held the upper air. Some kept the sweet waters. Some guarded cities of fired brick, with lions at the gates and incense climbing toward flat roofs. But far below Kutha, below the dust of roads and the roots of tamarisk trees, Ereshkigal sat in Irkalla, the great land of no return. Her palace was not built for sunlight. Its doors opened inward through 7 shadows. Its walls remembered every footstep that had descended and never climbed back. She was queen there, not guest, not prisoner. The dead came to her, and the dust received them without hurry. In the high courts, the gods once held a feast. Bright bowls were filled. Bread was broken. Beer foamed in deep jars. Since Ereshkigal could not leave her realm, she sent her messenger Namtar upward to receive her portion. All the gods rose to honor the envoy of the queen below. Nergal did not. Nergal was lord of Kutha, fierce in the hot wind, restless as a lion on stone. His failure was not small in the old order. To Dishna a messenger was to touch the power that sent him. Were descended like a sealed tablet, and the lower palace waited. Ea, wise in the deep waters under the earth, warned Nergal before he went down. He told him to be watchful at each gate, to accept nothing that would bind him, to keep his mind like a sharpened blade wrapped in cloth. Nergal descended through the gates of Irkalla, leaving behind the smell of cedar smoke, the upper stars, the noise of men pounding grain in mortars. At each gate the dark grew more complete. At last he stood before Ereshkigal. She was robed in the stillness of her kingdom. No garland softened her brow. No lyre played behind her throne. She had received kings without flinching, children without turning away, warriors with the dust still on their lips. Nergal came as one who had insulted her house, but when he looked on her, the old tablets changed their breath. The meeting that began in anger became something no gatekeeper could name. For 6 days and 6 nights, Nergal remained in the palace below. The upper world went on without him. The rivers moved. Fires were lit in shrines. Bakers pressed loaves against oven walls. In Irkalla, Ereshkigal was no longer only the queen who received all endings. She was a woman speaking to one who did not fade when he saw her darkness. Nergal was no longer only the hot god from above. He was a guest who had found that even the underworld had a hearth, though its flame was low and blue. Then he returned to the gods above. Some stories say he left too soon. Some say Ereshkigal sent a message so powerful that heaven itself grew silent. If he would not come back, the boundary between the dead and the living would tremble, the lower world would press upward with all its forgotten names. Nergal heard. Whether from fear, duty, or the heavy pull of a face remembered in darkness, he descended again. This time he did not come as one passing through. He entered Irkalla to remain beside Ereshkigal, and the queen below was no longer alone on her throne. Their union did not make the underworld bright. It gave it another shadow, seated close. Not every love opens into spring. Some love is a lamp placed where no dawn can reach. Rest where no gate is hurried, and let the dark palace keep watch around you. From the sealed doors of Irkalla, the night turns toward a green mound in Ireland, where love flew in another shape. In Ireland, where the river Boyne curled through green fields and mist gathered in hollows before dawn, the people told of the side, the hidden folk beneath the hills. Their houses were not poor caves but bright halls inside the earth, with bronze vessels, white hounds, and doors that opened only when the hour was thin. Bree Leith was one such mound, and Midir was its lord. Midir belonged to the Tuatha De Danann, the old shining people who had gone under the hills when newer feet claimed the surface. He knew the music of unseen harps and the taste of hazelnuts fallen near sacred wells. Yet the story that clung to him was not a battle tale. It was the story of Étaín, whose beauty moved through several lives like moonlight passing over water. Long before she sat in the halls of Tara, Étaín had been beloved by Midir. But jealousy entered the hidden house, as a cold draught enters under a door. Étaín was changed from woman to water to a small bright creature blown by wind, and for years she drifted over Ireland. She passed over roofs and cattle byres, over rushy fields and dark pools, until at last she came into the cup of a noble woman and was born again as a mortal child. So the old story lets one life fall asleep and another life wake, while love waits somewhere behind both. Étaín grew in the world above, not knowing the whole shape of herself. She became queen at Tara, wife to Étaín, High King of Ireland. Tara was a place of feasting halls and carved posts, of horse tracks in wet earth, of talks gleaming at throats by firelight. There Étaín moved as a mortal queen, with attendants at her side and the smoke of the great house in her hair. Then Midir came. He did not arrive as an army. He came through the door of the hall, tall and grave, with a cloak fastened by a brooch and hair bright as if the mound light still clung to it. He sat with Étaín at the board game, moving pieces with patient hands. Each wager passed quietly between them. Land, treasure, cattle, all were offered and won. At last Midir asked for what he had truly come to seek, one embrace and one kiss from Étaín. Étaín could not refuse the bargain already made, though a king's heart may grow cold under fine cloth. He commanded guards to stand around Tara. Doors were shut. Spears were held. The night outside pressed its face to the smoke hole. When the appointed hour came, Midir stood in the hall. Étaín looked on him, and something older than her present life stirred. Not every memory comes as words. Some return as a fragrance, a color, a sudden ache at the sound of a name. Midir took her into his arms. The roof beams darkened above them. The fire bent low. Then the pair rose, not as man and woman, but as two swans, white and silent, joined by a slender chain of gold. They flew out through the smoke hole and into the Irish night. The guards saw only wings. The king saw only absence. Over Tara, over the sleeping fields, over the Boyne silvered by moonlight, the swans passed toward Bari Leith. The mound opened for them, not with thunder, but as a hill opens to its own secret. Beneath the grass, lamps were lit. Old music resumed. The tale does not ask whether every heart in it was satisfied. It only leaves an image, love recognizing a soul it had lost through shape, wind, and years. May the white swans pass overhead in silence, and may memory fold softly over you. The swans vanish into the hill, and beyond another shore a prince follows love beneath the sea. Across the eastern sea, in the old stories of Japan, the mountains of the land look down toward waters ruled by Watatsumi, the sea god. Pine roots held the cliffs. Salt wind moved over shrines of weathered wood. Fishermen watched the moon make a path on black water and knew that below that path stood palaces no neck could touch. Huri, also called the fire-subside prince, lived among the children of the heavenly line. His elder brother was Hodri, who had the luck of the sea and the fishhook. Huri had the luck of the mountains and the bow. One day, in brotherly exchange, they traded their tools. Huri took the fish hook to the water, but the sea swallowed it from him. Search as he might among stones, tide pools, and weed-slick rocks, he could not find the small shining thing. His brother demanded it back. Huri stood ashamed before the surf. Then an old sea-wise spirit helped him. A vessel was made for him, woven and light, and he was sent out over the waves. The water bore him not to death, but downward, to the palace of Watatsumi. There, beneath the tide, the sea was not dark as men fear darkness. It was dim like blue glass. Pillars rose like coral trees. Fish moved like small lanterns. Shells shone softly in walls where no sun had ever warmed them. Beside a well near the palace gate, Huri met Tuatamahaim, the sea god's daughter. Her name carried the sound of jewels. She looked on the stranger from the dry land, and he looked on her, salt still drying in his hair. Watatsumi welcomed him. Mats were laid. Deep-sea dishes were brought in shining bowls. Huri remained in the palace for 3 years, though to longing hearts time under enchantment is never measured cleanly. He loved Tuatamahaim, and she loved him. The lost hook waited unnoticed in the mouth of a sea bream until the palace servants found it, lodged among the bones. When Huri remembered the upper world, Tuatamahaim helped him return. Watatsumi gave him the hook and taught him words of power over the tides. The prince rose again through blue water and wave foam, carrying with him a wife from beneath the sea and a silence from a place no mountain path could reach. For a while, land and sea were joined. Tuatamahaim came ashore when her child was ready to be born. A hut was built for her near the beach, roofed with cormorant feathers before the work was done. She asked one thing of Huri, that he not look upon her in the private hour, when a sea being must return to her true shape. But love sometimes fails at the door it most wishes to honor. Huri looked. In the half-built hut, by the hush of the tide, he saw not the wife as she had sat beside him in the palace, but a great sea form, ancient and scaled, laboring between worlds. Tuatamahaim knew he had seen. Shame and sorrow passed over her like a cloud over moonwater. She did not curse him. She did not tear the shore apart. She left the child and returned to the sea, closing the path between their realms. Yet her love did not wholly close. She sent her sister Tamayuraihaim to care for the child, and through that child the lines of land and sea remained knotted in the old imperial stories. The waves kept speaking, but Huri could no longer follow them down. Let the tide breathe in the distance, and let the pearl halls drift far beneath you. The sea door closes softly, and the next water is the Baltic, where amber remembers a broken palace. On the Lithuanian coast near Palanga, the Baltic Sea breathes heavily against the sand. Even in summer it keeps a northern coolness. The wind smells of salt, pine resin, and wet stone. After storms, small pieces of amber wash ashore, honey-colored in daylight, but under moonlight almost like sleeping fire. The old people said those amber pieces were not merely stones. They were fragments of a palace that once stood beneath the waves, where Jorate ruled. She was queen of the sea, sometimes called a goddess, sometimes a maiden of the deep. Her halls were made of amber walls and amber towers. Fish swam through golden corridors. Sea grass moved like long green hair at the doors. The tides carried her commands. Above her, in the world of nets and oars, lived Castitis, a fisherman. He was a mortal man of the coast, with hands roughened by rope and shoulders used to weather. Each morning he pushed his boat into the Baltic. Each evening he drew silver fish from the water. The catch fed his house. It also disturbed the undersea kingdom, for no net falls into one world only. It trembles in the other. Jorate rose to stop him. She came through the waves not in rage, but in the grave stillness of one who expects obedience. Moonlight caught on her hair. Her voice was the sound of water moving in caves. Castitis stood in his boat, the wet net at his feet, and looked on the queen he had never known he was offending. She meant to command him. Instead, the night widened. He saw not a monster or a storm, but a being as lonely as the open sea. She saw not merely a fisherman taking from her waters, but a man who lived by the rhythm of them, who knew how the wind changed before rain, how gulls cried when shoals moved below. Words passed between them. Then more words. The boat drifted. The net sank half forgotten into dark water. Jorate brought Castitis beneath the sea. The amber palace opened to him, lit from within by a dim and gentle glow. No hearth burned there, yet every wall held warmth from an ancient sun trapped in resin before men had names for kings. Castitis walked where no mortal foot should have rested. He heard shells chiming softly in the current. He sat beside the queen of the deep while the Baltic rolled over them like a roof. But Pacunas, the thunder god, looked down from the sky. He was guardian of order, loud in the storm cloud, iron in the oak. A goddess of the sea loving a mortal fisherman was a crossing too bold for the old boundaries. The air tightened. Clouds gathered. Far above the palace, thunder moved across the water. The strike came with stormlight, but in this telling the night need not dwell on ruin. The amber halls shattered. The sea filled with fragments. Castitis was taken from Jorate, and the queen's song became the long low sound heard under wind when the Baltic is restless. The shore received what remained, amber chips, polished by waves, carried into children's hands and old women's aprons. So the coast kept the proof. Not a monument, not a temple, but small worn stones, each one a piece of a love that crossed from human air into divine water and could not remain hidden forever. May the amber lights under the sea dim kindly, with no storm left to follow you. From the amber shore, the night drifts over black lava and breadfruit leaves, toward a cord lowered into Milu. In the Hawaiian Islands, the night does not fall heavily. It breathes through leaves. It touches the black lava gently and lays silver along the reef. The old Hawaiian storytellers knew many roads between worlds, roads over sea foam, roads through volcanic stone, roads taken by spirits when the body lay still and the family fire burned low. Hiku was a man of the upper world. He lived where palms leaned over the shore and the scent of flowers came after rain. His wife was Kawelu, and their house knew the ordinary sweetness of shared days, pandanus mats, gourds of water, the murmur of people speaking outside in the evening. Hiku loved her, but like many in old tales, he was called away. Some versions say he traveled for sport, some for wandering, some through a restlessness that comes before wisdom. Kawelu waited. The path outside remained empty. The sea kept arriving and leaving. Days lengthened. Her grief grew quiet and deep, the kind no neighbor can easily see. At last her spirit went away from the upper world and descended to Milu, the realm of the dead. In the old speech, Milu was not simply an ending. It was a shadow country under the known land, a place of dim company and strange stillness, where the voices of the living arrived faintly, like surf heard inside a shell. When Hiku returned and found Kawelu gone beyond his reach, his wandering ended. He did not let sorrow sit unused. He asked the elders. He learned where the path might open. A long cord was prepared, braided strong from bark fiber and vine. A lamp or torch was readied, though no earthly flame could command that darkness. Hiku came to the place of descent and lowered himself into the unseen. The world above grew small overhead. Rock walls cooled around him. The cord creaked. Far below, Milu received him. There he moved through shadow, calling Kawelu's name. Not loudly, not as a conqueror. He called as one calls across water at dusk, hoping the beloved voice will answer. Around him were spirits, pale in the gloom, some curious, some silent, some forgetful of the sun. The land of Milu held its own customs. A mortal man did not belong there. Yet love had made him careful, and grief had made him brave. At last Kawelu heard him. In the underworld, even a familiar name may arrive slowly. She came near, changed by the quiet of that place, but still herself. Hiku spoke to her, reminding her of the house, the mats, the wind in the trees, the life that had not finished speaking her name. He did not seize her like stolen treasure. He coaxed her spirit as one cups a small bird and keeps the hand steady. Kawelu followed. Hiku signaled to those above, and the cord was drawn upward. The passage was narrow, the darkness deep, but love had become a rope between realms. When they reached the upper world, the night air touched them. Kawelu's spirit was restored to her body, and breath returned like a tide through coral channels. The old story does not make Hiku flawless. It gives him absence, regret, descent, and return. It says that love may fail to stay close at first, yet still learn the road down and back. Rest beside Hiku's cord of woven bark, where a voice can find you even in the deep. The cord rises into night air, and near the dawn fires of ancient India another love trembles under a broken promise. On the old Vedic plains, where the Sarasvati was praised in hymns and dawn came pale over sacrificial fires, the singers told of Urvashi. She was an apsara, a celestial woman of the shining halls, graceful as light on moving water. Her world belonged to the Gandharvas, to music that did not tire, to fragrances finer than sandalwood smoke, to heavens where mortal age could not set its hand. Pururavas was a king of the Ayla line, lord of horses, chariots, and earthly fame. He belonged to the world of dust, fire altars, and measured seasons. Men praised him. Cattle lowed in his enclosures. At night, guards watched beside his doors with spears upright in the starlight. Yet a king may command many things and still be undone by one glance from a being not meant to remain. Urvashi came into his world by a crossing of divine and mortal desire. Some hymns remember their love as already fading, as though the oldest singers heard it from the far side of loss. But for a time she lived with Pururavas. Her presence changed the palace. Lamps seemed less smoky. Music lingered after the strings were still. The dawn itself seemed to pause near the roof. She set conditions, as beings from other worlds often must. The king was to protect her two lambs, creatures dear to her, soft-voiced and white in the court shadows. And she must never see him unclothed except in the proper hour of love. These were not small whims. They were boundaries, the delicate threads by which a heavenly one could stay on earth without being broken by it. For a while, Pururavas kept them. He loved Urvashi with the urgency of a mortal who knows, even without saying it, that nothing heavenly is held by strength. The lamb slept near her bed. The palace moved through its nights. Outside, the fire altars cooled to ash. Inside, the king believed perhaps the worlds had made peace. But the Gandharvas wanted Urvashi back. One night, when darkness had thickened and the guards were dulled by sleep, they stole the lambs. The little animals cried out. Urvashi stirred in distress, and Pururavas rose at once to pursue them. In that instant the sky flashed with lightning, bright and sudden as a blade of white fire. Urvashi saw him as she must not see him. The condition broke. No door slammed. No army came. The quiet was worse. Urvashi was no longer bound to remain. The heavenly law had opened around her feet, and she stepped back into the world from which she came. Pururavas wandered after her. He searched through dawns, across fields where mist clung low, beside waters where birds stood in the reeds. At last he found her near a lake, with other celestial women, bright and distant. He spoke with the ache of one who has learned the size of the sky only after losing someone into it. Urvashi did not return as before. She could not. Yet she did not leave him empty. She promised that he would have a son through her, and in some tellings she taught him the way toward the Gandharvas, toward a fire rite by which a mortal might draw nearer to the world of song. Their love did not become a household. It became a longing preserved in sacred speech. At dawn, when the lambs were only memory and the lightning gone, Pururavas stood between earth and heaven. The smoke of the altar rose straight upward. Somewhere beyond it, Urvashi belonged again to the shining realm. May the last lamb's bell fade, and may dawn leave a small silver kindness beside you. The dawn smoke thins, and far to the north a musician's song sinks through Lake Ilmen into a blue palace. In Novgorod, where the Volkhov River carried reflections of wooden walls and church domes toward Lake Ilmen, the Russian singers told of Sadko. He was not born a prince. He was a gusly player, a man with strings under his fingers and a song for the water. At feasts, when merchants boasted of sable, wax, and silver, Sadko's wealth was sound. He often went alone to the shore of Lake Ilmen. There, after evening settled and the town grew dim behind him, he played for the wide dark water. The lake listened. Reeds barely moved. Moonlight lay broken among small waves. His music passed down through the cold surface to halls no fisherman saw. The Tsar heard him. At first the reward came gently. Sadko was told where to cast his nets, and golden fish rose from the lake. With that wonder he became a merchant, rich enough to walk among those who had once looked past him. He bought ships. He loaded them with goods. He sailed river and sea, and the gusly did not leave his side. But gifts from below are never wholly separate from below. On one voyage, far from Novgorod, the sea stilled around Sadko's ships. No wind filled the sails. The water lay flat as polished metal. The men grew uneasy. They understood, as old sailors do, that some power beneath had remembered its due. Lots were cast, and the lot fell to Sadko. He took his gusly and descended into the sea. The water closed over him, yet he did not drown. He came to the blue palace of the Tsar, where pillars shimmered like whetstone and strange plants moved without wind. The Tsar sat vast and old, with a beard like streaming weed. Around him stood daughters of the deep, river maidens and water-bright beings, each carrying a silence from her own current. Sadko was commanded to play. He set his fingers to the strings. The music moved through the palace, and the Tsar began to dance. Above, the sea answered. Waves rose. Ships tossed. Shores trembled under storm. Sadko understood then that music in one world can stir another, and that delight below may become danger above. In the older Christian-shaped tellings, a holy figure warns him to break his strings. In the deep old night of the tale, the warning may be heard simply as mercy, the small inward voice that tells a musician when to fall silent. Sadko snapped the strings of his gusly. The Tsar's dance slowed. The waves above quieted. Then came the matter of return. The Tsar offered Sadko a bride from among the maidens of the water. The choice would bind him. Sadko looked at the luminous daughters, at their river eyes and sea-colored hair. One stood apart, quieter than the rest, Shernova, a dark river maiden, gentle as a current under ice. Sadko chose her, and with that choice he was led not deeper into possession, but toward release. He did not take her as men take a wife into a house. He lay down beside her in the blue palace and slept without touching. When he woke, he was no longer under the sea. He lay on the bank of the Shernova River near Novgorod, with dawn pale on the water and his ships safe in the distance. The river maiden had become a path home. Her love, or pity, or quiet knowledge of boundaries had not kept him in the palace where he could not breathe. She returned him to the world that had made his song. Let the blue palace sink without sound, and let the river carry sleep toward you. The Shernova flows into stillness, and another daughter walks westward for the sake of those who once cast her away. In Korean shaman songs, sung by mudang voices in rooms scented with rice, paper, and incense, there is a princess called Bari Gongju. Her name carries abandonment. She was the seventh daughter of a king and queen who had wished for a son. When she was born, the palace did not welcome her as it should have. The child was set aside, sent away from silk curtains and lacquered chests into the care of humble hands. Bari grew beyond the palace walls. She learned the taste of plain food, the patience of poorhouses, the sound of wind against paper doors. The world that had rejected her did not vanish from her story, but neither did it own her heart. She became strong in the quiet way of those who have survived without being praised. Years passed. In the royal house, illness came to the king and queen. Physicians failed. Prayers thinned in the air. Diviners spoke of a cure beyond ordinary roads, life-giving water and flowers from the far western realm, a spirit country beyond mountains, rivers, and the places known to living feet. The 6 honored daughters could not go. Their silks rustled, their courage did not. Bari was found and brought back. The parents who had sent her away now lay pale beneath embroidered covers. She looked on them, and the old wound might have closed her hand. Instead, she chose the longer road. Love in this tale is not easy affection. It is the strange mercy of a heart that refuses to become as narrow as the harm it received. She dressed for the journey. The palace gates opened. Bari walked west. The road led through harsh country and spirit thresholds. She crossed rivers where the water seemed to remember every name ever mourned beside it. She climbed stony passes where no bird sang. She met guardians and strange figures who tested her with labor, hunger, and delay. In many tellings she came to a powerful keeper of the life water and served him for years, drawing water, gathering wood, tending tasks that wore the body down but polished the will. Bari did not travel as a warrior breaking gates. She traveled as one who keeps moving because 2 breaths behind her are failing. The hem of her garment gathered dust. Her hands hardened. The western spirit land, sometimes called the far place of medicinal water, did not yield quickly. It asked whether her love would remain when no one watched, when no praise followed, when the road forgot to end. At last she received what she had crossed the worlds to find, water of life and flowers of life, bright with a radiance not of sun or lamp. She carried them back over the rivers, back through the passes, back to the palace where illness had settled like winter. The king and queen were restored. Breath returned. Color came again to their faces. Yet Bari's own path did not simply fold back into courtly ease. Having walked the roads between living and dead, she became more than a princess. In Korean sacred tradition, she became a guide of souls, a goddess or spirit mother who knows the difficult way because she once walked it from love. The abandoned child became the one who does not abandon others at the last river. May Bari's Lotus road lie cool and pale, and may faithful love sit quietly beside you. Her flowers of life are set beside the lamp, and another maiden carries a small box up from the house of the dead. In the Roman tale told by Apuleius, there was a princess named Psyche, whose name meant soul. Her beauty made people whisper as if a goddess had passed by. Garlands were brought. Incense burned. Yet beauty can become a lonely shrine when everyone looks and no one truly comes near. Venus, hearing mortals speak too highly of the girl, sent her son Cupid to trouble Psyche's heart. But Cupid, who made others love with hidden arrows, was himself caught. He carried Psyche away to a secret palace where invisible servants moved like soft wind through the rooms. The floors shone. Lamps glowed without smoke. At night her unseen husband came to her, tender in the dark, asking only that she never look upon his face. For a while, Psyche lived between fear and wonder. She heard his voice. She felt his presence. She knew gentleness, yet not sight. Her sisters visited and planted doubt as one might tuck a thorn under a pillow. At last, while her husband slept, Psyche lifted a lamp and a small blade, trembling. Oil light touched his face. He was no monster, but Cupid himself, bright and vulnerable in sleep. A drop of hot oil fell. He woke. Trust broke like thin glass, and he vanished. Then Psyche began the true road of her name. She wandered from shrine to shrine, seeking the love she had wounded by fear. Venus set her tasks, each one beyond ordinary strength. First came a heap of mixed grains, seeds, and lentils, impossible to sort before evening. Ants came silently to help, tiny dark workers moving like thought across the floor. Then Psyche was sent for golden fleece from dangerous rams, a reed by the river whispered to wait until the animals rested and gather the wool from thorn bushes. Then she had to bring water from a high, perilous stream that fed the Styx. An eagle came down, took the vessel, and filled it where human hands could not reach. Last, Venus gave Psyche a little box and sent her to Proserpina in the underworld, asking for a portion of beauty from the queen below. Psyche walked to the house of the dead. She carried coins for the ferryman and barley cakes for the watchful hound. The air grew close. The light thinned. She passed into a realm where every sound seemed wrapped in wool. Proserpina received her. The box was filled and sealed. Psyche was told not to open it. But on the road upward, weariness and longing spoke together. Perhaps she wished to make herself worthy of Cupid again. Perhaps she feared that love, once seen and lost, would not return to a face worn by sorrow. She opened the box. No beauty rose from it. A deep sleep came out, heavy and dark, and Psyche fell beneath it. Cupid, healed enough to fly, found her there on the threshold between worlds. He did not turn away from the soul that had failed, labored, descended, and still tried to return. He gathered the sleep back into the box and touched Psyche awake. Then he carried their plea to the gods. In time, Psyche was given ambrosia and welcomed among the immortals. Mortal soul and divine love were joined openly, no longer hidden in the dark palace. Their child was called Pleasure, but the road to her birth had passed through fear, labor, and the underworld's quiet door. Let Psyche's lamp be lowered, and let the unopened dark become gentle around you. The lamp dims in Psyche's hand, and on the Scottish border another lover waits for the fairy host to pass. In the Scottish borders, where the Eildon hills rise softly and the rivers Tweed and Ettrick run through old green country, the ballads remember Carterhaugh. It was a place of trees, roses, and narrow paths, but also a place near the unseen. The fairy realm lay close there. A branch might stir when no wind moved. A hoofbeat might be heard after midnight with no horse on the road. Janet, sometimes called Margaret in older mouths, came to Carterhaugh and plucked a rose. In the old ways, no rose in such a place belonged only to itself. Tam Lin appeared and asked why she had taken what was his. He was no fairy born. He had been a mortal man once, riding through green woods, until the fairy queen took him into her company. Since then he had lived between worlds, neither fully dead nor free, passing through the bright dangerous halls under the hill. Janet did not flee from him. She spoke with him. The rose hung in the story like a small red moon, and around it their fates tightened. Tamlin told her the truth of his bondage. Every 7 years, the fairy company owed a tithe to the powers below. He feared that he would be given, because he was mortal and fair to look upon. If Janet loved him and wished to win him back, she must come to Miles Cross at the midnight hour, when the fairy host rode by. The road between worlds would open there. On the appointed night, the air grew cold around Carterhaugh. Janet went to the crossroads and waited. The moon was hidden. The ground held the damp smell of autumn leaves. Then the fairy riders came, not with clamor fit for battle, but in a long strange procession, bridles glinting, bells muted, faces pale under hoods. Some rode black horses, some brown, some white as bone in moonlight. Tamlin had told her how to know him. She watched until he passed and seized him from the saddle. At once the fairy power tried to make her let go. In the ballad, Tamlin changes shape in her arms, a serpent, a bear, a lion, a red-hot brand, and other fearful things. But in this quiet telling, the changes pass like dreams over water. She held not the shape, but the beloved life inside it. Scales, fur, heat, smoke, all were veils. Janet's hands did not open. At last he became a naked man, mortal and shivering in the night air. She wrapped him in her green mantle. The fairy queen spoke in sorrow and anger, for she had lost what she meant to keep. Yet the road closed behind her company. Hooves faded. The hill took back its lights. Carterhaugh was only trees again, wet grass, and breath. Tamlin stood free beside Janet. This love did not charm the other world into kindness. It waited at the crossing and endured the shapes fear gave it. It knew that the one held in the arms may appear changed beyond recognition, and still be held. May the fairy road pass without taking anything, and may strong hands hold you softly. The last hoofbeat fades under the hill, and the Nile begins to shine where Isis searches the reeds. In Egypt, the Nile moved through the land like a god breathing in his sleep. Papyrus stood in green clusters at the banks. Temple stones held the day's heat long after sunset. At Abydos, at Philly, at the edges of fields where frogs called after floodwater, the names of Isis and Osiris were spoken with reverence. Osiris was a king among gods, associated with grain, order, and the green return of life from dark soil. Isis was his wife and sister, mistress of magic, patient in knowledge, strong in hidden speech. Their love belonged not only to palace chambers but to the rhythm of Egypt itself, seed buried, flood arriving, stalk rising, bread broken in human hands. Then loss entered the story. Set, the restless brother, brought deception and violence against Osiris. The tale has hard edges in the old telling, but the night may pass over them softly. It is enough to say that Osiris was taken from the world of the living and hidden away. The green god was made silent. The throne stood empty. Along the Nile, the reeds still moved, but Isis heard absence in them. She began to search. With Nephthys beside her in some tellings, Isis moved through marsh and river mouth, through towns where women ground grain and men lifted jars from boats. She listened to rumors. She followed signs. Her feet knew dust, mud, and temple thresholds. No map could have guided her fully, for she was seeking one who had crossed from visible life toward the secret country. At Byblos, far from Egypt, a tree had grown around the hidden chest of Osiris, and that tree had been cut and raised as a pillar in a foreign house. Isis came there in disguise, carrying grief like a covered flame. She served, waited, and revealed herself only when the hour ripened. The pillar was opened. The beloved was found. Cedar scent rose into the air. A god who had been concealed in wood was brought home by the one who would not cease seeking. Yet the story's sorrow was not finished. Osiris could not return simply as before. Death had received him. The Duat, the Egyptian underworld, had already begun to know his name. Isis, with words of power, with wings outspread, with breath and mourning, gathered what could be gathered. She did not deny the boundary. She leaned over it. In the stillness of night, she hovered as a kite above Osiris. Her magic moved like wind that has learned speech. For a brief sacred moment, love crossed the dark water between the living and the dead. From that crossing came Horus, the child who would carry the line forward, falcon-eyed, hidden in the marshes until his time. Osiris did not remain in the upper world. He became lord of the Duat, judge and green hope of those who entered the west. Isis remained a power of protection, a mother, a mourner, a magician whose wings could shelter the vulnerable. Their love did not undo death. It gave death a throne with memory on it. It made the underworld less empty by placing a beloved face there. When Egyptians planted grain, when the Nile rose, when mourners called the names of their dead, the story was near. A seed in black earth is not unlike a god in the hidden country. A tear on the cheek is not unlike river water under the moon. Isis kept searching, and because she searched, the worlds did not become strangers to one another. At the end of the Nile's dark bend, may remembered love lie beside you and sleep. The lamp lowers, the old names rest in the dark, and the night keeps them gently. Thank you for spending this hour with Where Old Gods Sleep. If this brought you a moment of peace, consider subscribing. Rest well and sleep deeply.